I've been a client here for a little less than a year.
Okay, now, once upon a time, we talked about the fact that we were going to try to work something out with you financially in our office.
Yes.
Okay, and of course, you don't need to do that right now.
Right.
Anyway, we're going to do that, and we're going to use this video for two purposes. Number one, we're going to use it to help other people who might be facing what you're facing, and they'll kind of empathize with you.
Okay.
And then we also talked about your behavioral modification contract, in which we were going to use some community service to show the judges and whatever that we're giving something back to the community because it enhances their ability to go more lenient on you in sentencing.
Yes.
Okay. So we have your permission to do that, right?
Yes, you do.
What we're going to do, and I'm going to say it right on the record here, what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate any costs you have for counsel fees
Okay.
that occur from now until the future.
Okay.
We're going to also dismiss any cost owed to the investigators, Dr. Woolhandler, for his reports.
Okay.
Your medical arrangement with him is different.
Okay.
And medication is different.
Okay.
And whatever we discussed that one time we had that financial meeting.
Right.
This is going to be a total wash of that.
Okay.
In exchange for that, we're going to be able to use your video, even if you and I somehow lost track of each other. That's okay with you,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
And we're also, it's okay with you to waive the privacy issues, legal privacy and medical privacy also?
Yes.
Okay. And you've thought a lot about that. I brought this up to your attention several months ago. And
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
All right, good. I want to make sure I get that out of the way.
Yes.
All right, very good. Okay, we'll go ahead and begin that.
Okay. Sounds
All right.
good.
Now, Tiffany, how long have you been a client here?
I've been a client here for a little less than a year.
Okay. And we're not going to make references to here regarding our law office, and we're not going to make any references specifically to the particular doctor. We're basically going to talk, the questions will all be posed in terms of the process and the procedure, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now, tell me what you first, well, let's do it this way. Right before the time you were charged by the police, what was your health situation?
Well, I'm 30. I was 36 at the time, mother of two that was addicted to pain medication. And I would call in various pharmacies myself and prescribe pain medications, and I would go pick them up. And my state of health was in horrible condition. I thought at that time that I was completely fine and things were fine, but they absolutely weren't.
Now, you indicate you got addicted to pain medication.
Yes.
How did that happen? Tell us a little bit about what caused you to take pain medication.
Probably about 4 years prior, 3 to 4 years prior, I started taking pain medication because I was having a very considerable amount of pain in my legs. And I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. They weren't sure if it was from my low back because I was in a car accident about 6 months prior to that. They weren't sure what was causing the leg pain. But I started off on a non-narcotic pain medication
Do you remember what the medication was?
it was called Tramadol, and the brand name is called Ultram.
Okay.
And I started off on that, and I was ordered like 2 tablets twice a day. And then slowly, after about 6 months, I went up to 3 tablets twice a day. And then I knew I was becoming addicted to it because if I didn't take it, I felt miserable.
Tell me a little bit about that. What physical or mental symptoms did you have when you didn't take the medication?
The physical and mental symptoms that I had if I did not take the medication, I felt like flu-like symptoms. Body aches all over, chills, lack of energy, just feeling sick in my stomach. That's when I knew that I was definitely becoming addicted to the medication. And then when I felt the need to start calling it in myself whenever the refills weren't lasting, as long as the doctor prescribed them, I knew that there was addiction problem.
There's a common myth out there that addicts or people who take drugs are taking them because they want to have a good time. So you're basically telling us that you weren't doing it to have a good time, you were doing it to feel normal.
Exactly. And I was taking the medication to feel normal. I would tell myself every day, I felt like I could not function if I did not take that medication. I did not feel normal at all.
And when you didn't take it, you had these aches all over and felt flu-like.
Yes,
And when you did take it, you didn't just start jumping around and having fun. It just, you now had a normalcy in your body. Is that what
exactly.
you're telling us?
Yes, I just felt normal. I never felt like I was getting a high from the medication, which I might have been. I don't realize, I don't think at the time I was, but I might have been. But it was never like to enjoy myself, like have a good time. I was feeling like I didn't want to get a high from it. I just wanted to be able to function, take care of my kids, cook for the family, do laundry, clean
So
the
you
house.
never were a party person anyway?
Never, never. I was never a party person at all. Never was on any kind of recreational drugs. Never did street drugs. Never was in any kind of trouble before.
At that time, you actually had a professional license, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
still do?
Yes.
Okay, what was that license?
I'm a registered nurse.
And what's your educational background? How far did you go in school?
I've 4 years of college. I have a bachelor's degree in nursing, and I graduated in 1993 from nursing school. And
And now, you indicate you had a graduate degree in nursing?
yes,
Okay, so does that mean like a master's degree?
a bachelor's degree of
Bachelor's,
science
okay.
in nursing.
Okay, and how old are the children? You talked about 2 children.
I have a child that's going to be 3, February 23rd, and I have an 8-year-old son.
Okay, and did you have your own house and successfully married and all that?
Yes, I've been married for 10 years, and the 2 boys that I have, and we have a home, and
Now, would anybody at that point in time in your life determine, looking at you from the outside as you pass by a neighbor, do you think any of them would suspect that anything was going on?
I don't think anyone would suspect that anything was going on because I was still active in all my son's activities at school. I was on the PTO at school.
And you were functioning in those
I
capacities?
functioned, yes, and I functioned fine. No one ever questioned, was there something wrong with her? Is there something going on with her? Not that I know of. I worked. I
Full-time?
never, part-time. I worked 2 to 3 days a week. I never called off for
You
an.
and your husband got along okay?
We got along fine.
Did he ever
Actually, when the police called my husband and told him that I was in trouble, that I got caught for calling in prescription medication, he said that somebody else was imitating me, that there was no way that was his wife that was there.
So he had no clue either, your husband?
No clue at all.
Okay. Now, as a nurse, I'm assuming that it gave you opportunities that an average person might not have.
Right.
And tell us about that. What did you actually do? What was this plan that you embarked upon?
Well, when I knew I was becoming addicted to the pain medications,
I'm going to
because
stop you right there because I forgot to ask you another important
Okay.
question. It sounded to me like it's escalating, where one day a certain level is not enough. Did that happen too? Tell me a little bit about that.
it never seemed like it was escalating in my mind until now. I look back on it and didn't realize how it was getting out of control. And then I used my ability to know how to call my medications because I am a registered nurse. And then I did work at a doctor's office, so I knew how you were able to call in a prescription to a pharmacy, and you did not have to know the doctor's license number. And I was able to call it in, and I used that to my advantage because I was able to get the medication that I needed. And then I didn't have to go through the doctors anymore of trying to
Get a
go.
doctor to write it.
Exactly.
Now, in the very beginning, what was your dosage of the pain medication, if you can remember?
I was taking tramadol 50 milligrams, and it was
On a daily basis?
on a daily basis.
Okay, but that didn't work after a while, right?
Exactly.
Okay, then you ended up increasing to what, if you remember?
I would take 3 tablets, and that was like 150 milligrams at a time, twice a
Again, on
day.
daily basis? Twice a day.
Twice a day.
So you went from 50 per day to,
I was taking like each tablet's 50 milligrams of tramadol, and then I would take maybe 2 50-milligram tablets of tramadol twice a day. Then I would increase it to 3 tablets twice a day.
eventually, what was the highest dosage you were taking? If you
The
can
highest dosage, I could probably take 20 tablets a day
which
of
would be
50
100
milligrams, which would be 1,000 milligrams.
So you went from 50 milligrams to eventually 1,000.
Yes.
Okay, and are you telling us that at all those times, you were only taking it to feel normal, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so I'm inferring from that it took 1,000 milligrams to feel normal where it used to take 50.
exactly.
Okay, and that's something that surprised you and you couldn't control.
I could not control that at all.
Okay,
We can hear the noise of them talking.
okay. You want me to stop and I'll go tell them?
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. I think this is pretty good stuff.
Very good.
Yeah, you're really doing great. Okay, that's an important issue that people don't understand. Okay, I'll just pick up where I left off. Then.
Okay.
Yes, go.
Okay, so as the need to feel normal continues, everybody wants to feel normal, the amount of drugs that it takes to do that is increasing rapidly, correct?
Yes.
How much time elapsed from this 50 to 1,000? A month, a year?
I would say about a year.
Okay, so that's when you actually need the ability you have as a nurse to reach out and get more.
Yes.
Okay, now, this concept of calling in a prescription, that's what you did?
Yes, I did.
Okay, did it ever get to the point where one pharmacy couldn't cover that?
Yes.
Okay, what did you do next then?
Then I came up with the idea that I could call it into different pharmacies under different names.
Did
And
you actually do that?
yes, I did.
How many
Sometimes
different-
I would use my own name, so I could use my insurance to pick it up. Sometimes I called it into different pharmacies under different names. And
When you did that, you had to end up paying cash for it, I would imagine.
yes, I did.
Okay. Did that become a problem trying to explain to your husband where the money was going or anything?
Became a big problem because I was lying then to him, telling him that I was buying this and buying that and wasn't buying all these things, and this costed more than what it was, and everything just became a big lie.
What do you estimate at the top of the game there it was costing you out of your pocket for the extra medication when you couldn't use your insurance?
The cost is just enormous. I feared probably over the whole course of the whole time of the medication that I was calling in and picking up, I think it has to be close to $100,000.
On
Close.
a weekly basis, approximately, do you know?
I want to say it was probably like $750 to $1,000,
So,
maybe every 2 weeks.
so if we draw the reasonable conclusions from what we just talked about, it cost you $750 to $1,000 of secret money and all the anxiety that went with it
Yes,
to be normal.
yes, to be normal.
Not to mention the intrigue that goes with calling in prescriptions. Were you doing that from the office?
I never did. I never would call in a prescription from the office where I worked. I
From
never
home then or
used
cell or-
from my home phone. I would never
Now,
use.
I would imagine that the pharmacy itself at some point in time could not handle the need that's escalating.
Right.
So I'm assuming, and we may already have asked this, you went to more than one pharmacy?
Yes, I went to multiple
How many
pharmacies.
pharmacies did you go to? Off the top of your head, if you could ask.
20.
20 different pharmacies. Were they in different towns?
Yes, they were in different towns,
Were
different
they in
counties.
Different counties, if you know.
Yes, they were definitely in different counties.
Okay. And now, that trend and that pattern lasted in your life how long?
About 3 years,
Okay.
2.5, 3 years it lasted.
Eventually, something happened.
Yes.
What happened?
And I don't even know what the reason was that I went to a pharmacy, and it was my son's second birthday, and normally I didn't take the children with me, especially my oldest son, because I always used a different name, and I had to take my 2-year-old with me the day that I got caught, and something must have not been right with how I called something in, or something I don't know what made the pharmacist call back to check it, and realized that it was a false script, and
So
that
the pharmacist must have called the doctor
Yes.
where you pretended it was calling from?
exactly
Okay, so you walked in unbeknownst to that call,
right.
and what happened?
And when I went to go pick it up, they told me that it wasn't done yet, for me to just sit down and wait. And I was sitting there waiting, and I went to go get balloons for my son for his birthday party. And we came back, and I sat down, and then a police officer was tapping me on my back and told me I had to come and talk with him.
Was that frightening?
It was very frightening. It was
Did
the
he have a
most,
uniform on?
yes, he had a uniform on, and it was the most frightening time of my life. The
Where-
most embarrassing time, the most humiliating time.
Where did he take you with your son and you at the same time, or somebody watched the son, or?
He took me into a room with a couple other people, and he was just asking me questions.
to your little boy?
And my little boy was right there with me.
Okay.
And then he was just asking a lot of questions, and I was kind of hesitant on answering some of his questions. So they asked for my son to be taken out by somebody because he was getting really angry.
The policeman was?
Yes, he was getting angry just because I was hesitant on asking questions. I was scared. I was very scared.
Well, let me ask you this. On the one hand, you've got a policeman asking you questions. I'm assuming he was in uniform.
Yes, he
There
was.
was more than one.
There was two.
Two policemen,
Two
both in
policemen.
uniform?
Yes.
Other people from the store, the personnel in this office?
Yes.
Okay. On the one hand, you've got that image, two people, uniforms, guns and all,
Yes.
badges, asking you questions. You certainly want to cooperate with them,
Yes,
right?
I definitely
But by
wanted-
the same token,
I was-
there's a conflicting feeling that you might be saying something that's going to get yourself in real trouble.
Exactly.
So that's why you were hesitating.
That's exactly
You
why I
weren't
was
trying to deceive
hesitating.
anybody.
Right, no, I wanted to be cooperative with the police officer. I've never been in any sort of trouble before, so that was extremely scary.
Little boys usually can pick up even chemically from their mothers if they sense tension. Was he starting to respond, if you know?
He seemed to be okay, he just was too young. I don't think he really understood what was going on.
And the policeman is getting angry because you're stonewalling, basically.
Right,
Okay, and of course you're stonewalling because you don't want to get in trouble.
exactly. And I didn't want to say something that was going to give
Now,
me,
eventually, did they take you and charge you with a crime that very time, or did you leave and go home?
I was able to go home. I was worried that my son wasn't going to be coming home with me.
Right.
He was able to leave with me, and I was able to drive home, and I had to make an appointment to meet with the officer and then the Drug Enforcement Agency to talk about what I've been doing and how I've been getting the medication and the names that I've been using. And
Okay, now, somewhere along the line there, did you seek, without revealing who, legal counsel?
yes, I did.
Okay, and so when you went back to meet with the officers, did you take counsel with you?
Yes, I did take my attorney with me, so whenever I met with the officer that arrested me and the Drug Enforcement Agency, I had an attorney with me.
Okay, so now you can answer the questions. Because
Yes,
the attorney's telling you which ones to answer and which not to answer.
yes.
Okay, now is this confrontational or was this a cooperative conference, if you know?
The conference that we had at the police station was very cooperative. Everybody
Everybody got along?
got along. I answered the questions truthfully.
Now, let me ask you this. Was there any reason why you took a particular attorney or a particular type of office with you? In other words, you selected an attorney from several in a phone book, I would think. What made you select a particular attorney if you did?
Well, the attorney I selected he's very knowledgeable in the field of substance abuse.
How did you
And
know that?
from the physician that I was going to, I ended up seeing an addiction doctor that specializes in medications to help with withdrawals, medication after you're clean to go on. There's injections or pills
Okay,
you can take.
We'll go there in a minute, but for right now, one day you wake up and you've got a legal problem,
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
People have said that the two worst problems you could ever have in your life is medical first and legal second.
yes,
One day you woke up with a legal problem. Okay, so
Yes.
that's a big problem. At the same time, it dawns on you that you have a legal problem because you have a health problem that's even bigger.
right,
Did I accurately characterize that?
yes,
Okay. And you chose to work on both at the same time.
yes, I did.
Okay. As we speak today, and even back then, which of the two was more important to you, of the two problems?
They both were, because I wanted to have my health. I wanted my physical health back, but then the legal issues were very just upsetting because I didn't know, was I going to jail? What did the future hold for me and my family?
Do you think that the officer walking into your life at that moment may have, in fact, caused you to work on a health problem that you never would have addressed.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so in one way, the worst day of your life was the day that the officer walked in that drugstore. But by the same token, that may very well have been what caused you to address the health issue.
Yes.
So to that extent, it may have become the best day of your life.
And I say that all the time, that February 23rd, 2007 was the worst day of my life, but it was the best day of my life.
And it was also the day of your son's birth.
Yes, it was. Yeah, his second birthday.
Okay. And do you recall the conference that took place with the police and the attorney?
Yes.
Do you remember the police discussing the fact that because you had done this in multiple counties, and because you had done it multiple times,
Yes.
each one of them could have been graded as a separate offense, which would almost assuredly have required you to go to the state penitentiary?
Yes.
Okay, so that second birthday of your son may have found his third birthday with mom in prison
Yes.
instead of being with his son. In fact, it was likely.
Yes.
Okay, let's go on in our story here. Now, the addiction physician that you talked with or got involved with actually had a working relationship with this attorney?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened at the addiction physician? What was the strategy, generally speaking, on how you were going to deal with the health problem?
Well, I went to him on February 26th, 3 days after I got caught, and he started me on a medication to help with the withdrawals, and he wanted to detox me off all the medication that I was on.
Okay, now, so let's stop and freeze that a little bit.
Okay.
We know that the flu-like symptoms ever escalating caused you to not only take the drug, but continue to take the drug in escalating variations, correct?
Right.
Okay, so wanting to get off of the addiction is easier said than done.
Exactly.
So if you're going to get off of the addiction, you've got to face the reality that you're going to be very ill for a while.
Yes.
But the addiction physician had a plan to blunt that, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
His plan was I went on a medication, and he tapered it down over a course of between like 7 to 10 days. And the medication I actually give you is a narcotic, but it's in a lower dose, and it helps prevent the withdrawal symptoms.
If I say something, I may be ruining the term here. Is it called buprenorphine or something like
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay. From what I understand as a layperson, it's a lower dosage of the narcotic.
Yes.
Clearly it's a narcotic then. But it is ingested through the digestive system,
Yes.
and therefore it absorbs slower. Some people inject narcotics,
Right.
and it actually didn't get you high,
Right.
and it actually kept you from having withdrawal.
Exactly.
And then he was walking down the dosage,
Yes.
weaning you off. Is
Yeah.
that what you're telling us?
Yes.
Okay, did that work?
Yes, it did.
Did it get you down to zero without the pain of withdrawal?
Yes, because I tried multiple times before of tapering the medication down myself. I would start like 20 a day, and I had tablets. The next day I would take 19. The next day I would take 18, and had it all scheduled out, and I did that multiple times and was sick doing that. And every time I would start getting sick, then I would up the dose again, and I can never get off of it by myself.
So he eventually got you down to zero?
Yes, I was down to 0.
Okay, then of course now, we know that drug addiction doesn't happen in a vacuum. A person, yourself, reached for drugs once upon a time, and there's a possibility, if not strong likelihood, that you would do it again. Now that we got you down to 0, what keeps us straight and narrow here?
Right.
Did he have a strategy for that?
Yes.
And what was that strategy?
The strategy was to be off of the buprenorphine for about 7 to 10 days. You have to be free from any kind of narcotics. And then I can either go on injection called Vivitrol or a pill called Revia. And that helps with all the brain receptors. So it blocks the chemicals. So like if you would try to go out and use some sort of narcotic or heroin or something like that, you would not be able to get a high from it because all the opiate receptors are blocked.
Okay, now let's stop there a minute too. So we're taking a second medication now,
Yes.
only after your body has completely rid itself of including what we would call the prescribed narcotic that brought you down.
Right.
That has to be completely out of your system too.
Exactly.
According to the doctor. I'm not
Right.
a doctor myself.
Right.
And that actually, you actually experienced that.
Yes.
And it did work.
Yes, it did.
Now, we also know well, maybe you don't know this, but there are references to alcoholism clear back to in the book Genesis in the Bible. There are references of alcohol. There has been almost no pharmacology in alcohol or opiates until the mid-1900s, or even later 1900s. The Vivitrol that you're talking about is a 2006 FDA-approved substance.
Yes.
Aside from that, there is a substance out there called methadone.
Yes.
Okay. Now, methadone is very much an addicting substance, is it
Yes.
not? And you are not on methadone, nor have you ever been.
I've never been on methadone before.
So, as we sit here today, you have been treating on the Vivitrol for how long?
I will, at the end of this month, it will be my 13th injection that I've received of the Vivitrol.
Okay. And if somebody drug tested you today, or even 12 months ago, you would have been drug-free.
Yes.
You are not on any addicting substance, methadone or otherwise.
And I get tested every month when I go get my Vivitrol injection. The doctor that gives me the injection does the drug test, and he tests for methadone. He checks for every kind of narcotic, street drugs, marijuana, cocaine. That's all tested for, and I've been testing negative since I've got the injections.
Okay, now, meantime, the prosecutors out there could possibly charge you with multiple offenses, multiple counties, multiple sentencing escalations. During all of this time, did the prosecutors help you in any way by allowing you to keep postponing your criminal proceedings?
Yes, they did, because the longer I was having longer to get clean, and they were saying that I was cooperating, I was doing what I was supposed to, I wasn't using any kind of drugs, all my drug tests were coming out negative. So I think just the longer that it took the process with all the different hearings I had to go to, the longer they just saw that I was being cooperative and I was doing what I was supposed to.
So we have we have the legal and the medical working together.
Yes.
You also were analyzed by a psychologist, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that psychologist is also someone who is working with the doctor and legal counsel.
Yes, he is.
Okay, and were you screened psychologically?
Yes,
and
I
had
was.
some counseling.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so did that help?
Yes, that helped. I started going to the psychologist at the end of July, and it has helped tremendously, because I never was understanding why this all happened. How did it all escalate? I just didn't really understand it. So he really had me look really deep down inside, figure out what was going on, different strategies to keep myself on the right track, different things he wanted me to do every day, different techniques he wanted me to work on.
And those things came to help you get a grounding on.
Yes, and I finally got a grounding on what actually took place. And I think that really helped out, just the psychologist and his evaluation. And
Now, there was some paperwork in your attorney's office. Do you remember a document called the Behavioral Modification Contract?
yes, I do.
Okay. Now, the Behavioral Modification Contract required you, number one, to avoid in the future all associations with anybody who was involved in any of these activities.
Yes.
Okay. It also involved a commitment on your behalf to have a mentor who would tell on you, basically.
Yes.
24/7, who was monitoring you. In this case, it was your husband.
Yes.
He was involved in the strategy. It also required you to be tested scientifically, as you indicated the doctor had been doing, and to reveal all of those tests to the police authorities at any time if you had breached any of those.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the thought was, if you fell off of the wagon, we would rather tell the police and put you in jail than have you overdose and die.
Exactly.
But your freedom was not as important as your health.
Exactly.
Okay, and you voluntarily agreed to that. It's in a document.
Yes.
And all those documents have been offered to the court to be included in your sentence, probation, whatever the judge wants to do.
Right.
And you still stand behind that.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so at the end of the day, you have actually entered a plea, have you not?
Yes, I have.
And without knowing the legals on it, what will be the result of the plea? How much jail time will you do?
I will have no jail time at all. I got probation without a verdict,
So you're
and
not even admitting to a crime,
exactly,
so that you can save your professional license, hopefully.
yes,
Okay, and your little boy will not know a day without his mother.
exactly,
Okay, and all of those documents and all of that effort and all of that struggle in revealing the results to the police were necessary to show them that you were serious.
yes.
Okay, are you thankful to the police and the government for giving you this chance?
Oh, I am extremely thankful
And
to
are you glad that you had a program that validated so that the government could believe you were telling the truth?
yes,
Even if it meant telling on you if you fell off of the wagon.
yes. I'm very happy to have a program like this. This program has saved my life. I don't know what I would have done without it.
Well, and at the end of the cycle here now, you basically have a full court press involving, adding up the scorecard now, an attorney,
Yes,
an addiction physician, a psychologist, probably a counselor or two in there somewhere,
right,
DEA agents from the government, local police, district attorney, and the court itself, all working to, number one, keep you alive, and number two, to have your son not lose his mother, and all of it working together.
exactly.
So, when you woke up that morning finding that you had the two worst problems you could ever have in your life, health and legal, what do you think those two problems did to each other, in your own words?
I think those two problems together almost killed me, but it saved my life because the day after that this happened, I wrote a letter to myself and to my family, and I honestly didn't know where I was going from there because I was so scared. I honestly thought I was going to jail. I didn't know what the future held for me. I've never been a day without my children. Just the thought of going to jail just scared the daylights out of me because I've never been in any kind of trouble before. Never, no legal problems. I've never been in a police vehicle before. I was so scared, and my life has been saved by this program.
So the fear that came with that legal caused you to go to the doctor.
Yes,
So in a way, the legal drove the medical. And then of course the medical treatment needed to convince the legal end. So the medical drove the legal solution.
exactly.
So we look at those two problems, the momentum of both were aimed against each other, which created a favorable result for you.
Yes. Yes, it's been the best thing that has ever happened because I don't think that I was going to go seek help by myself. I think I needed that legal issue to go. I wish I would have went to seek help before the legal issue happened, but I didn't.
And then extending, sometimes we complain about the wheels of justice moving slowly, but in this case it allowed the program to bond itself into your behavioral patterns.
Exactly.
So,
I know I just wanted this all to go away and thought the quicker the hearings were, the quicker it would be over with. But I'm just so grateful that how they just took their time and everything just seemed like it had a place and time and everything just worked out the way it should have.
now, the medication, has it had any effect on your craving at all?
I have no cravings at all. This medication has been a godsend to me. From the day I get the injection till the very last day when I'm ready to get another injection, I still have no cravings.
Some people, diabetics, have to take medication the rest of their life. Would you resist that if necessary?
I would take it the rest of my life if I had to.
Never to go back?
Never to go back. I never want to go back. That was a horrible life. Have to lie all the time. All the lies, all the places I had to travel, just deceits, money spent to go on vacation with my family and wonder, oh, do you have enough medication to last for that whole week? Oh, is there a pharmacy here on vacation I can go to? It was misery.
You haven't had to deal with any of that.
None of that. We went on vacation over the summer, didn't have to do any of that, had a wonderful time. We just enjoyed ourselves, and it was wonderful.
Is there a couple sentences you want to leave anybody who's watching this maybe years from now?
Anyone that is watching this, if you're in a place where you're addicted to medication or has an alcohol problem or anything that's going on, that you need to get help, you need to, if you have a legal issue that's happening or you have the medical problem, you need to go seek help. You need to go to an addiction doctor that's going to help you, put you on the medication, to help you with the withdrawals. If you tried it by yourself numerous times and have failed, this will definitely be the one for you. This is the program that's definitely going to work. If it worked for me, it will work for anyone, because I tried numerous times to come off of this medication and could not do it on my own. And I just...
Did you rely on any spiritual issues at all?
I did. I was a church person before, and kind of after having kids, just get busy, and we stopped going to church, and I'm back going to church. I'm very active in the church. I go to a mothers of preschoolers group every other Monday. I go to a two-of-a-kind play group with my son every Tuesday.
Educators, for purposes of educating, need to take things apart sometimes.
Yes.
2 + 2 = 4. That's how you teach children. Sometimes we tend to take people apart and don't realize they're total. In this program, you had a physical component, you had a mental component, and you had a spiritual component.
Yes.
Separating all three of those might be fine for study, but you needed all three of them to work the comprehensive solution. Isn't that right?
Yes, I needed all three.
And they came to the plate for you.
Yes, they did.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.